the recording here. But one of the things that I've been playing with this morning, because I was thinking about this, and for those of you guys watching this right now, I've got the amazing Treva Hershey joining me as we just talk about her wins within her health journey and some of the things that have worked really well for her. We'll talk about things she's accomplished and some of the tools and techniques, and just give her a chance to share those. But we're talking right now about the carnivore diet. And these really extreme diets, Treva, I was thinking about this today. I think it's a lot healthier to view them as fasts, as short-term fasts, rather than like it has to be a long-term lifestyle. Because I've been playing with that, because I do a program called Fasting Man in November, where I
Mhm.
take a group of men through a Daniel fast, and we do some water fasting in there too. I'm thinking about replugging that into July. So when we do the Daniel fast, it's like fresh fruits and vegetables rather than like in the middle of November, when everything's already harvested and gone. But it's kind of interesting because, January is World Carnivore Month, and I think July would be a cool time to go like just full veggies, and I think that's the cool thing is when you have that perspective of it, it's like, oh, I can do that. I don't have to like just stick with one or the other. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's what I first drew me to your program to begin with is, I just if everything's so cut and dry and you have to follow a certain plan, like
Hmm.
6 months before I joined your program, I had done this program, and it's very, what you eat and what you don't eat. And
Hmm.
it's a whole lot harder to stick to something when you think you have to do it forever, and then you always want, it's like what you focus on is what you get more of. And
Yeah.
so if you focus on, your focus is constantly on what you can't eat because that's what you want to eat, you know. But on this, it's like it's just for, like you said, just for a few weeks, try it out for a few weeks and see how it works. It's not like you have to do it forever. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. What I'm curious, what eating plan were you on? Were you doing like Octavia or like or were like the meal shake things?
No, actually it was, I mean, it really wasn't that horrible. It's just it was a 6 meal plan.
Oh yeah, I remember us
And
talking about that now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was I can't remember what the program was, but it was some 6 meal plan. And I mean, it wasn't horrible. I mean, it was kind
Hmm.
of, you could eat somewhat what you wanted, but um I don't know. For me, 6 meals doesn't work. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm much happier with the intermittent fasting. For me, that just really works great. I'd rather eat two nice meals and that's great. So
Hmm.
that just, to me, it just takes way too much time. I don't have that much time and focus. Like you had to really make sure, you got the right amount of calories, and I don't know, it was a lot of work. And where
Yeah.
this is much simpler because, you know, you've been really great at telling me, I need 100, grams of protein or whatever the fats and the carbs and how to work that around. And fitting that in like 2 meals is a whole lot less work than trying to spread it out
Mhm.
through your day. And, so
I love that.
yeah.
I think there's just when you only have a couple meals a day, especially when you're wanting to lose weight and just like put it on autopilot, there's less room to mess up. Because if you just make sure you get like one or two solid meals, it's a lot easier than having to do three or four. And let's say you screw up one of the four, or you feel like you missed something, like you forgot to meal prep something in a couple of those meals. It can just feel like it's almost like one domino, two dominoes, three dominoes, where it's like, all right, I maybe had burgers with French fries and a sundae at lunch, but I can at least have like a salad and some steak or something like that for dinner. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it's a little bit easier and just to move on into the next day.
Exactly, like, we're going out with our friends tonight for dinner, and I'm like, "Okay," I haven't started eating yet. I usually don't start eating
Mhm.
until 12 or 1, until, like, 6 or 7 is usually my time, and so I'm like, "Well, maybe I'll just go grab a protein shake, and then, I can have a lot of calories tonight if I want."
Isn't that so good?
So, yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
and that's what I love about, your program is that it's very flexible. I need something that's flexible. We have
Mhm.
kind of a crazy schedule sometimes. We do travel a lot, and so for me, that's what I needed was the flexibility to be able to do
Super
well at
cool.
any place.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And we'll go ahead and just do kind of like a more formal introduction as well too for people watching here, guys. Welcome to the Kingdom Health Podcast. If you're listening in on Spotify, or this will be up on Amazon and Apple Podcasts, all the new stuff. I got to work with my editor and get that on today, which is super exciting. If you're watching on YouTube, just want to say thank you guys so much for listening in. If you're on the Facebook live stream, hello. You can go ahead and just drop a comment down below, as we're on the Kingdom Health Facebook page here. Wherever you're watching, just simply subscribe to our page, drop a like on the video if you're on YouTube or Facebook, and just stick around for a little bit more. What we do around here at Kingdom Health is we love talking about three things, and that is health, fitness, and Jesus. And it's just a fun place where we get to hang out and have a safe place to be able to do that and have a hell of a lot of fun while we do it. And today I've got an awesome woman named Treva Hershey joining us today. And she is a one-on-one client of mine. And she's made an amazing transformation over, is about 4 months, 4.5, 5 months now?
Yeah, somewhere in there. I've lost track.
Yeah.
It's 4 months, around 4, I think.
Yeah, about 4
Somewhere
months
there.
or so. She's really just gone on turbo drive and done a lot of awesome things. And I'll give you guys a chance, and Treva, I'll give you a chance to kind of share a little bit more about that here. But purpose of the day is to be able to allow her just to share what's been working for her journey, where she started from. This is gonna be a fun kind of like dialogue style. We may do some teaching on fat loss and fasting and exercise, even some of the things that have helped her, and even just walking with the right mindset as you go into a health journey as well too. We'll just kind of see where Holy Spirit leads us on that one. So Treva, would you like to just kind of let people know a little bit about who you are before we dive into all the fun stuff? I mean, it's fun to get to know who you are too. I don't want to diminish that by any means.
Sure. Like you said, my name's Treva Hershey. I'm married to Leland. I have an amazing husband, Leland, and 2 kids. And I started with Patrick like 4 or 5 months ago, somewhere in there. And I started with him because I watched him for a while before I started up with him. And the reason I actually started is because I seen a friend or two of mine that, were like, we lost 20 pounds in a really short time. And I was like, wow, that's impressive, And so I just kind of watched him for a while and watched, his posts and different things. And I really felt led, like I really felt like he was the person that I was supposed to coach under. What drew me to his program was his flexibility, because he's not like, you can't be religious about this, sometimes it's this and sometimes it's that. And like I mentioned before, we have a pretty busy lifestyle, and we like to travel a lot. And my husband and his brother have businesses out of state, and so we're gone a lot. And I love to travel many other places too. So I have to have something that works with a really busy schedule, that we travel a lot. And so I joined his program, and I have to say I relied on his face a lot at the beginning of the program, because I've tried other fitness programs, but I've never tried one that brought all 3 things together, I guess, so just focusing on, your temple is the Holy Ghost, lives in your temple, that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, and bringing that fitness aspect and the meal plan all together in one place. Like before I started with him, I mean, I worked out at least 3 days a week. I'd been doing HIIT class for 3-4 years prior to that. And we eat pretty healthy, 95% of the time, but I just couldn't bring all 3 things together for weight loss. So
I love that. I'm curious, as we dive in here, what do you think it was that kind of made that tie together flow smoothly, of like the food, the exercise, and just the heart posture of like, okay, I'm going to do this because like my body's important. It's the temple. Like, was there ever, and it's okay if there wasn't, but I'm curious, was there kind of like all right, now it's all clicking, like something that you just like thought in your head, or like something that maybe happened in the program that kind of got all of those things firing at once? Because you were doing them, like separately.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I was doing them separate. I don't really know. I just feel like, I mean, I knew that my food, my eating, like I just kept thinking, well, if I just eat less, I'll lose weight. And I didn't, and so I was eating not near enough food of the right thing of, protein or whatever, which I mean, we were eating a lot. I don't really know. There wasn't like really a specific time, but I
Mhm.
just think tying it all together, and I think also just like for somebody, this might be for somebody out there, but we do fasting, on
Mhm.
occasion. That's one of your things for like, and I think if you do that for a day and all of a sudden you realize, oh, this isn't really that hard.
Yeah.
And then like another day when you really want to eat something, you're like, well, I ate nothing all yesterday or whatever, so I don't really need that,
Yeah.
So it's maybe just something you would pick on. So that might be one thing. But I don't know, it just felt like it all came together. I don't know one specific moment.
Hey, that's totally cool. Even fasting is a really interesting thing that does kind of connect that piece for a lot of people too. Because I think when we go in and we just, start to explore, okay, like how did God design our body? How can we reverse engineer that to create a goal that we want, right? For you, what was what was your overall goal? I know more in my head, but if you wouldn't mind just kind of repeating it for the people listening in, like when you first started coaching, what was your big goal?
My weight loss goal?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I was like, my weight loss goal, I think, was 44 pounds
Mhm, mhm. And
is
how
what I
close to
wanted
that
to
are you?
lose. What was that?
How close to that are you now?
I have 10, 11 pounds, I think.
Yeah, you're kicking butt. You're
So
doing
yeah.
so well.
So yeah, 34 or 5 pounds I've got off, I think, since 30, over 30 anyways, somewhere between 30 and 35.
Yeah, yeah. And
I
it's
used to
interesting.
keep track of it very specifically. When it was first 10 to 20 pounds, now I've kind of
Yeah.
lost exact track, but
That's the beauty of it, to be honest. And I think that's super healthy. Treva, is like to get that disassociation from it at a certain point because it's gonna happen. And
mm,
it's like, okay, now I just put in the reps and I just do it. And it's less about like eyeballing the scale every single day and seeing what it is. We track 3 days a week, the weigh in, but less of like even kind of forgetting, like it's like, weigh, log it, forget it, and then just like keep doing what you need to do. It's a
that
very
is
healthy
true.
way.
That's been one transformation definitely over, because at the beginning it was like, if it, and I had to say it rarely ever went up. Like I was shocked.
Yeah.
But on occasion, if it went up a pound or something, or 2 pounds, I'd be like freaking out, like, oh, this is horrible. It must not be working. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but now it's like, oh, it'll be fine. So that's definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So as started going through this whole, process over the past 4 months of changing up a few things in workouts because you're already working out consistently, doing the complete polar opposite of what you'd done beforehand, going from 6 meals to some days 0 meals, or 1 or 2 meals, you know, like how was that like diving into specifically the fasting? Because I would say that was the big part that we used, for your fat loss was, a steady routine of intermittent fasting, about 2 meals a day, and then throwing in, you liked the no meal a days over the 1 meal a days,
Yeah.
and running with that. So like how did that feel just throughout that process? Like as you were trying something new like that with the fasting of like, 5 or 6 days a week of intermittent fasting and then doing like a full day fast once a week and maybe a 1 meal a day thrown in there as well too. Like how did you feel throughout that, transitioning from more food or eating more
I
frequently?
felt great. I never ever had an issue with it. I always felt great. Um, just made sure I drank, enough water, something with electrolytes if, I needed that. But um, I always felt great doing it. And I always just did really, really well. I mean, almost every time that I've done a 1 day fast, I've lost 3 to 4 pounds. And so almost every time. And so
Oh,
I've
I
just
think we
always
lost you
liked
there for a
that
second,
because I kind
Treva.
of know it's consistent, and I've just never had an issue. Looks
My
like you're locked on my screen. Oh, it looks like we've lost Patrick. And maybe he will be back on soon. Hopefully. But I guess another thing that I've learned even with the fasting for a day is I just keep telling myself nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. So um I just keep that in my mind. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I feel so bad. I just heard you like finish up the conversation and I was gone for about the last minute or two.
Oh,
It
no
looks like
problem.
the
I
live
was like, it looks
stream.
like you're locked. It looks like Patrick's locked up on here, so hopefully he'll be back soon.
Yeah, you were it looks like everything's still going well with the live stream and the recording here, but for some reason it kicked me off and
Okay.
dropped me right back in. So what were you saying while I was gone?
I just finished up, I don't know, remember where you were when we fall off, but we were just talking about the fasting, the 1 day fasting. And
Mhm.
I just said, I keep in the back of my mind, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels, right? On the fasting days. So.
I love that. Yeah. You were you were pretty steady with basically following that 5 days of intermittent fast or 5 or 6 days of intermittent fasting and the 1 full day fast throughout the whole process, right?
Well, at the first 6 weeks, I don't think it was every day. I remember you had a 6 week program and we started.
Yeah,
And
the
we
6 week
honestly, I mean,
beginner.
we haven't really, changed up a whole lot over the whole
Mm-hmm.
4 months, but I think it was maybe every other week or something at the beginning,
Yeah.
something like that. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. To give like a little bit more clarity on that as well, too, for people listening. One of the things that I use with clients, and this will be within our fasting lifestyle program within Kingdom Health that'll kick off. I think it's February 5th. If you guys want to join in that, that'll be in the show notes of the podcast where I'll be delivering all of my fasting information, and everybody who pre-orders also gets access to 2 weeks of group coaching there where I'll be guiding you through extended fasts and full day fasts, intermittent fasting, all that fun stuff. But one of the protocols in there that Treva followed is called the beginner fasting protocol. And with it, how it's set up is, Treva, you would fast for like I think the first week or two is just normal intermittent fasting every day. And then you'd throw in a single one meal a day, right? So have one of those days be a one meal a day. And then the third week you would do like 2 1 meal a days out the week. And then the fourth week you would do like a full day fast instead of the one meal a days. And then I think it's like week 5 or 6, you enter into a longer extended fast for 2 or 3 days. And this is something that it's really interesting because it just works. It's so weird. Like I was mapping it out one day. I'm like, what would it look like to create a fasting plan, like a workout plan, to where you have like certain workouts on certain days? You got to do this, and that, and really not worry about the food at all. And it's interesting, Treva, because you came in at like a new generation of Kingdom Health clients to where I was a lot more like in terms of I've always been there and supporting you, but more hands off with like I've been intentionally like not giving as much like nutrition protocols or advice in sense of like super strict, like follow this. Like we just got to a meal plan after you'd already dropped like 25-30 pounds, and that's just we're tailoring things down as we get closer. It's kind of like tightening things up a little bit more. So and I just started playing around with what would happen if I only coached people on fasting when their goal is weight loss, like in the very beginning, just to drop those first 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds, depending on whatever somebody's goal is, right? Kind of that first 20 to 50% of your goal. Is it possible to reach that without even adjusting the food? And you and I did make food tweaks and, we adjusted that, but it was more so like parameters rather than you have to eat this at this time and this at that time. And it was so beautiful because, you walked through it, and I've had probably about um, 20 other people or so walk through that same process that you went through around the same time. And everybody who did it and followed it, like with the simple advice of, hey, in the 6 week process, to where like as simple as it is, you start with intermittent fasting on week 1, then you add a one meal a day, then you add a full day fast the next week. Then if you want, you can do both of them in 1 week. And then after that, you just dive into a deeper fast. And then you use the last week as a cool down. Everybody who followed that and just the simple health advice of less less processed sugar, eat more protein, and don't have cheat days. Like if you want some wine or a cookie or a beer, just have a wine or a glass of cookie, a glass of cookie, have a cookie.
Maybe not
But
a whole
don't,
glass.
yeah, don't have a whole glass of cookies. That might be a lot. Save that for Santa Claus. That might be good. Like if you pour some milk into a cup, of like chocolate chip cookies and just let it like saturate for a while and get a spoon in there. That'd be interesting to try out. But not having a whole day where it's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, pizza, hamburgers, and Sunday. But if you want a slice of pizza, go for it. And just practicing that moderation and limit your processed sugar when possible, eat more protein. Those simple nutrition advice, like everybody who just followed that saw way more results than when I was a lot more stringent and giving people meal plans right from the get-go and saying, hey, follow this. Why do you think that was successful for you, giving you more freedom in the beginning?
Well, I have to have freedom in all of my life. That's how I live. So that's
Yeah.
it. That's purposely. There was a couple other great coaches that I personally know,
Hmm.
and I, consider going with them. But I'm like that stringent. Well, I'm like I can't deal with that. I need freedom in my life, and so that was one of the first things that I loved about. And I think you have a video, and you can probably reference it for the people. But
Hmm.
where you have, if you're going out to dinner or if you're, at home or whatever, make a choice. Don't decide, do you want carbs that day, do you want dessert, or do you want a
Hmm.
wine or alcohol? Make a choice, just choose one. It's not that you can't have any of them, but choose one. Don't eat,
Hmm.
have all three if you're trying to lose weight. And so that freedom of I can choose what I want, nobody's telling me what I have to do.
Yeah.
I can choose what I want, gives you the freedom to, make, and it makes, you're responsible for your own choices. I'm very goal driven and I'm very motivated. So, I'm in charge of my own health and my, all that. So, I just like that because then it's like you said, not like other diets because, okay, you're stringent, and then all right, have a
Hmm.
cheat meal or have a cheat day or whatever. Well, then you just want to eat everything that you couldn't have. You tend to eat a lot less by
Hmm.
having
Hmm.
something that you want every once in a while than you do when can't have anything, and a month later you can finally have something. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's just I agree with you on everything you said right there. I'm curious with the workouts. What was most helpful for you, in this journey? You dropped over 30 pounds and you've done it in a sustainable way to where like you're feeling good, you're moving at a good pace. There's really no worries about gaining it back at all because you're doing something manageable that you can continue. Um, what do you feel like has been for you personally the most helpful thing with workouts to be able to stay consistent with it and also just find a way that like works for you in this whole health journey?
I think, well, part of it is, when I started off, I told you that my son
Hmm.
works out. My son, my husband, and me work out in the mornings, like at least 3 mornings a week already before this happened. And so that was a very important piece that I
Hmm.
wanted to continue. And so you worked around that and gave me some other workouts, which I love because in that way, if we can't make it to the gym, I think that's another huge part of what you give is um something you can do from home. You can do, almost with no equipment if you need to. And so for
Hmm.
people that don't have a gym membership or, whatever, don't want to go to the gym, they can do it right from home and they can still get a really good workout and still lose weight. You don't have
Hmm.
to go somewhere. You can do it right in your home. And I mean, like I said, we did, I think I mentioned we did HIIT class for quite a few years before this. And as much as I love HIIT class because it's fast and it's quick and 20 minutes you're done or whatever,
Yeah.
yours is kind of the same way. It's 20 minutes and done, but that's with a lot of weightlifting and stuff. It's way better results. Like I started with, with Ashton and I'm doing a lot of weightlifting, strength training. You get a lot better results faster, in my opinion, from what I've experienced.
Yeah, I remember from our first conversation too, I told you you wouldn't have to run throughout this entire process, and you were so happy.
That is a question I asked at the beginning. I hate running. Not that I can do it, and I've run a 5K
Yeah,
already, but I don't like it.
yeah,
So, yeah.
I remember that. I think that was like we were talking, and the second I said you wouldn't have to run, like you're like, okay, let's do this thing.
I can do it if I don't have to
Yeah.
run 5 miles every day. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I think what you mentioned there too is really like a powerful point on your family support system there. Like your son is doing this with you, your husband's doing this with you, and even to the point to where if they weren't there or if you were on vacation or if things were weird, you still had the tools to do it on your own as well
Yep.
too, which I think is really valuable because a lot of people will kind of be in like one boat or the other. It's either I only work out on my own, I need my own plan, I need to do this, or I only do group classes or I only work out with my family. If my husband skips a workout or my son skips a workout, I'm not going to work out that day either. And I think it's so powerful to have a hybrid approach to where it's like, yeah, I'm going to get that social time, spend time with loved ones, and enjoy that. And I know you even did some workouts with your sister while traveling. Treva was awesome, and I think Treva I've worked with like two or three members of your family already since we started, working together. So you were always doing this with the family, and I think that was a really cool thing to see you do that I haven't seen a lot of other people do, which is really just include them in the journey. Like Ashton, your son is following a program that I wrote out for him, and he's doing really well. And I think it's so important throughout this to have like the whole team moving forward. And even like everybody's a little bit different with their goals and even like what's going to work for them. Like the coaching I gave your sister is a little bit different than how I coached you. It's a little bit different than how I coached Ashton. I think I'm going to be right now. I'm going to be talking to your mom at the end of the month as well too at the consultation. And it's like everybody needs a little bit different help, but it's like as long as they just get that little push or that little nudge or that little bit of structure that they need to move forward, I think it's so powerful to have the whole family like moving in this way, and even you know just moving at it together. Like you didn't leave your husband or your son behind, throughout this process. Cause a lot of times it could have been, well, hey honey, I got a coach. I'm going to stop working out with you. You guys can do your own thing. I got to do mine. But, you were really adamant about that from the beginning, that was like important to you, that
Yeah.
time together. And I really think that's a core part of your success is like that family dynamic there too.
Right. Absolutely. That was very important to me. And then also the other point you brought up was, like on vacation. That's another
Mhm, mhm,
very good part about, you set up these workouts that you can do from anywhere. You don't have to be at
mhm,
home. So when I went on, when we went to Belize, I could do them in the morning before, before everybody else got going out to the beach or whatever, just get them done, get them out of the way, and you can do them, wherever
mhm,
you're at. And so you don't
mhm.
have to stop just because you don't have a gym or the resort you're at doesn't have a gym or whatever. You can still do, stay on the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, as well too, as we kind of, started talking about the family thing. I think this would be a cool question. I don't think I've ever asked anybody. You're kind of like, I don't know if this is the right word for it, but it's the word that's like coming up as like a maven, like a woman who's like the center like figure, and like within your family, you've made an impact in your son, your sisters, and now your mom within your health, in kind of sending them little things or referring them over to me, or like just helping them out and working out with them. How when you're personally moving through that dynamic of like, okay, I want to help my sister out with health, I want to help my son out, I want to help my mom out, but you're not necessarily a health coach yourself or like
Mhm.
a personal trainer. How do you go about operating in that way? Because I think that's massively important in the kingdom of our as we infect the whole world with good health, right? Like just that peace that overflows in your body, it starts in the home. So how did you personally like do that? Like what was going on in your mind, or was it just like they said it and I did it, they didn't have a choice? Like what were you doing throughout the whole process?
Well, it can be a little bit like that. No.
Yeah.
But no, I just started sharing with them, and And, something, I mean, you might not even know, but I mean, I know I've told you I've went on different programs throughout the years.
Mhm.
And I mean, we did gaps for a year and a half, probably 10, 12 years ago. And
Mhm.
even then, through that whole, I mean, that's a pretty strict diet.
Very,
And
yeah.
even through there, I only lost about 2 to 4 pounds, I think, in that year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
people know, I mean, my family knows, my friends know that
Mhm.
I eat very healthy, so probably 95% organic food. And, I cook and I bake, but, we don't use a lot of sugar. We use, monk fruit and xylitol and all that kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
I don't drink pop. I don't, so all my family and friends know this about me. They also know I'm very dedicated and that I've been working out at the gym for, years. And so when, they seen that all of a sudden, in 2 months, lost 20 pounds on this
Yeah.
program that was all put together. And, throughout the process, I shared with them, what was going on. And so, and Ashton had been wanting to build muscle, but that's just the one piece that I'm very not educated in, that you are, is the protein and the fats and the how to put those all together to
Yeah.
make. So that was a part I really feel like I was missing, probably for before even, but for him. And then, my sister, she was saying she wanted to lose some weight. And I'm like, you really should just, get in contact with him, because obviously if it worked for me, it's going to work for you.
Mhm.
And my friends that I've sent over, they've seen, that I've lost 20, 20, 30, 35 pounds now. And
Mhm.
um, so I just, share with them what is done for me, and then, you know, encourage them strongly to come
Yeah.
over to you.
I appreciate that too. Yeah. I just saw your sister popped in on the app too with another low weigh-in as well too. She's kicking butt.
Good.
She's following the foundations program that I think you and Ashton are both following as well too. So if you guys are listening to this and you're like, hey, what workouts work really well? I actually created a program called Foundations that you guys can go ahead and hop into. And it's the full program that Treva's following, her son's following, her sister's following to see results, because it's got the ability to have substitutions and different exercises in there, training 3, 5, 6 days a week, whatever works out best for you. That variability is built in there within it. So I'll include a link down in the description of the podcast for you guys if you want to, hop on in there to join that one. But I love that, with the whole family. It's just they saw that you got results that you'd been wanting for so long, and that it was actually happening. And I didn't fully know that part, that you'd been, trying a bunch of different. I knew you were trying a lot of things, but I didn't know like to that degree. Like the GAPS diet, is intense. There was a period where I was getting a lot of like ringworm and rashes. And so I thought I had a candida infection. Turns out it was more of a spiritual thing going on. I was, talking with God, and he was basically like, you need to leave this job in this position. But and I was so stressed out. I was doing door-to-door roofing sales. And it was just like, it was terrible. So the heat in the Texas summer was like, I had this um rash on my face and on my neck, to the point where I showed Dr. Jess it a couple of times. She's like, I don't know how that happened. But they were like, it was so interesting. They were like crop circles, like really red, just weird designs that were like coming in with rashes and stuff like that on my whole body. And I thought it was ringworm, wasn't ringworm. I shaved my head because I thought it was ringworm and I needed to put like ringworm medication. So I had like, I was bald for a season. It was right when I became a Christian too. So like when I got baptized, I was bald because I thought I had ringworm, but it was really just this rash. But it disappeared one day when I quit that job and I left. It was literally like all gone. That's how I knew it was spiritual. God was just saying, hey, get in your lane, get out of that lane. If the one thing you value the most is your health, I'm gonna give you a sign in your health. He didn't take away my health, but he just gave me a sign through that channel. But I was researching the GAPS diet a lot in that time, because I'm like, all right, I guess I just gotta buckle down and try something. It's when I first actually tried out keto. as well too. I went keto for about a month or 6 weeks to kind of give that a show, because of the fact that it was, less inflammatory on the body. I thought it would help, but I never went all the way in on the GAPS diet. So the fact that you did that for a year and a half is very impressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did it for other, I mean, my son had some health issues and we needed to do it for his, I mean, that's why we did it. Our whole family did it. And,
Yeah.
it did great. It was wonderful for health,
Mhm.
but yeah, just for an example of, a year and a half, a couple pounds was not a really great weight loss goal for what you can do down
Yeah.
there. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, Treva, as we start to kind of, wrap things up here, um, I would love to just have you, what would be like one thing for a person who was in your shoes 4 or 5 months ago, and they had, 30, 40 pounds or whatever amount of weight that they want to lose. Maybe they're working out consistently. They're trying to eat healthy, but the weight's not coming off. And maybe they're a mother, maybe they're a wife, maybe they're, a man and just in a similar situation. Like what would be your you know, your couple minutes, 5 minutes of advice for them. Doesn't really matter how long it is, but what would you share with that person to help them move the needle forward?
well, I would say, find someone that can help you, can set you up on a good plan and a good goal, whoever that is, but set something that will work for you and for your lifestyle. Like I said, for me, I needed freedom. I needed to be able to
Hmm. Hmm.
kind of do my own thing, but yet have that within the parameters of what needed to happen. So w- have somebody set you up a good weight loss program specifically for you, because maybe you
Hmm.
need more direction and more guidance. So whatever it is, and whatever you need to focus on, if it's your calories or your
Hmm.
eating style, or if it's your fitness that you need help on, or your mindset. Again, mindset is a huge thing. And so whatever you're lacking in, find somebody that can help you with that, because that was obviously what I needed. I just needed that all put together, and maybe that's what it is for you. Maybe you're just missing one small area, and you're doing all these other things and spending years trying to do that, and it's not working, and it's just this one easy fix. So I
Hmm.
mean, yes, it takes determination, yes, it takes sticking by your goals and what you set up to do, but find somebody that can set them up for you and help do that, and care for yourself well, whatever that is your body needs.
I love that. It's kind of like you and I were having the conversation around like around finances, since you do accounting. I think the advice is the same, in many fields. If you're struggling there, get help. And I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of times where people feel stuck, is they feel that there's a barrier there between getting help, whether it's like not wanting to ask for help, not knowing who to ask for help, or not knowing even what help to ask for, or the fear of like, well, help costs money. At this point in time, anything you need is on YouTube. You can Google it, like Kingdom Health. We've got a YouTube that you can find a lot of things on there completely for free. We've got a Facebook group with a lot of resources in there, and plenty of low cost programs as well, for anybody who's looking for support. Things at around $100 or less that you can hop on into. Um, and I think that's just really valuable, is just the ability to be able to say, okay, I'm done fighting this, and I'm going to grab a teammate. That's
Yeah.
really valuable advice.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, because it's just, I mean, like I said, I was working out, I was eating healthy, and I'm like, what is the problem? What is the missing piece? I should be able to figure this out. It's not that difficult, but it was. So, find somebody that can help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And final question here. So for those of you guys listening, Treva is transitioning into a new challenge, 2 weeks of carnivore in a couple weeks. How are you feeling about that?
Well, Ashton and Wilson will be very happy with me. If they're listening, they will be very happy with me, because they've been
Yeah.
trying to talk me into doing that before. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. See what will happen. See how much weight I can lose on it, and see how I feel on it. I love meat. That's not an issue, so I don't think that'll be a hard. I know I'll miss, salads and vegetables, but hey,
Yeah.
it's only 2 weeks, it's only 14 days, you can do anything for 14 days, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you guys listening in, I'm currently participating in World Carnivore Month. And that's basically January, only eating meat or animal-based products. So I'm only consuming meat. I would love to consume fish, but I have a wife who's allergic to it. So I'll probably grab some when she's not home this month. Eggs, dairy, which is primarily raw cow's milk from a farm, or I'll grab some A2 milk or just whole organic milk if I can't make it out to the farm in time, because I'm going through about 2-3 gallons of milk by myself a week.
Wow.
And then some cheese on some burger patties if I need that, and then honey as well too, just for some carbs, because I'm already about 8% body fat, and I need those carbs just to perform really, really well in what I'm doing with the strength training, because I'm following the foundations program that Treva's following, her son's following, her sister's following, and a lot of my clients are following right now. Myself, and it's just fun. It needs a lot of, you know, fuel for that. But carnivore has probably been the craziest experience I've gone through in just, what is this, 13 days right now. My body has transformed a ton. So a few of my inner circle clients, I'm peer pressuring them to try out 2 weeks of it as well too. So I think you and I've got two other clients who, since you and I have talked, I've nudged them to try carnivore in one way or another. I've got one guy doing 3 days a week of it, and then 4 days regular, and then another guy's gonna be doing 21 days.
Oh, wow.
Well, he felt a push from the spirit and saying that he needs a 21-day fast. And so I kind of broke it down. I'm like, all right, you already know in those 21 days you're going to water fast. So when you eat, you got two routes. Like, is it like when it comes to like a fast or elimination diet like that, like most of them are going to be vegan or carnivore. What do you want to do? And I definitely push the carnivore more because just the season I'm in right now. When fasting man comes around and we do some Daniel fast, I'll probably be more in the veggie space. But yeah, so you're one of three people right now in my inner circle who I'm nudging towards that. So I'm super excited to see how that works for you too.
Yeah, super.
It'll be fun. Well, Treva, thank you so much for hopping on here. I'm super excited for this. This is going to be, on all the podcast forums. I'll send it over to you once everything gets uploaded with it. And just thank you so much for being a
Awesome.
part of this. You're an
Thank
amazing
you.
person. I'm thankful to have you as a client and thankful to have you as a friend.
Thank you. You too, Patrick.
You're welcome. Take care.
Yep, have a great afternoon.